next we're going to talk about lease and sale negotiation, which is really the part that I love about my job. You identify a site, you want to move forward and pursue it, whether you're going to rent it or purchase it. And these are kind of pointers that I always try to give my clients and things to keep in mind. Naturally, you want to have a real estate broker represent your firm. It's important to note that, in particular in our market, real estate brokers are paid by the landlord and seller most of the time. So it normally doesn't cost anything extra to have a broker representing you, but it's always important to make sure that you know who the broker is working for. Sometimes you can sign a buyer or tenant rep agreement. It's a little backwards because no matter what, they're paid by the landlord or seller, but they can still represent you. So you can formalize that in writing, but you always want to know in real estate transactions who's on your side. In advance, you want to research everything you want. You want to run numbers, run different mortgage amounts, based on different purchase prices or different lease rates. Go into that meeting knowing the most you're going to pay so that you don't walk away at the end feeling, oh gosh, I gave up way too much. Know your red line would be the suggestion. You want to find the win-win for all stakeholders. Ultimately, a deal is normally not going to get done if it's a win-lose. You may just be wasting your time. But it may not just be price that the other side is looking for. It may be timing. They may have a tenant moving out of the building a year from now, and they're panicking, oh, we're going to have a year of vacancy. The office market is so bad. Well, they would probably love to sign you today and give some concessions just to get you signed today for a lease that's a year out. Or maybe that party only cares about price, in which case you could say, well, I want 6 to 8 months to do my due diligence. I'll give you your price, but I need time. So it's not always price. There's typically other elements of the deal that are important to the other party, including yourself. I'm going to jump back up to options. Options are incredibly important tools in real estate negotiating. They can get confusing for parties if you don't know them in advance. The right of first refusal, so first refusal, it's a right that you have as a buyer or tenant to essentially match another offer that came in. So in the woman's example previously, she may want the right to expand into that space, but she also may want the right to take that space in the event another prospect comes along, because she doesn't want to lose it. So she can have a right of first refusal. The landlord will get a proposal, and the landlord will walk the proposal over to you and say, here's the terms of the deal. Take them, or I move forward with the other group. That's okay, you at least got the right. You had one last shot at that space. That's different than the right of first notice, which people get very confused about the difference. In a right of first notice, you're not going to know what the other party's proposal is. All you're going to get is a notice from the landlord or seller that they have an intent to place the property on the market, probably at an asking price of X, and you're welcome to move forward on it now. So in other words, they couldn't sell the building out or lease it out from underneath you. They have to at least let you know about its impending sale or lease. Option to purchase. Typically there's some sort of consideration that's put down in the form of maybe part of the taxes for a year. But essentially you're leasing and you want the right to purchase at X within X time frame at X dollars, at Y dollars. That would be an option to purchase. And then we talked about option to expand, option to relocate, option to contract. Theoretically, there's an option for anything, but these are the most common options that I see in my day-to-day. You always want to have a paper trail in real estate transactions. Real estate transactions are governed by the statute of frauds, which essentially require that all of the critical elements of a real estate deal, in order to be enforceable, they be in writing, they be clear, they are signed by both parties. If it's a lease, you're going to need consideration. That's normally the security deposit. In a lease deal, and even a sale deal, you always need consideration. So if you sign a lease with your landlord, but haven't given them a security deposit, you don't technically have an enforceable contract at that point. You always need the consideration to go down up front to make that contract enforceable. A couple other interesting points is that you want to make sure you know who's paying for what. Sometimes you get so excited the deal is done, but you forgot to cover who might be tearing out that wall over there or replacing the carpet on the second floor. All of the responsibilities of who is going to pay for what relating to the lease transaction should be spelled out in your lease. In a sale, it's fairly straightforward. It's just what's in your offer to purchase, and normally the seller's not going to have to do much. But in a lease situation, the landlord's going to have to deliver the space to you a certain way, and you want that all spelled out clearly in your lease. If there's any ambiguity, there's probably a problem there, and everyone's just crossing their fingers hoping it all works out later. Just get it out in the open up front during your lease negotiating process. It will save a lot of headaches later on. And then, of course, you work through your due diligence process. You sign a letter of intent for a property. You want to move forward towards a lease. You do your due diligence. You always want to make sure your zoning will be conforming. You want to talk to your lender, make sure it's within budget, and many other things that you as a facility manager have probably done that leads up to a successful, clean closing.